I'm not gonna look at the chat for a minute. Okay, I'm just gonna fucking think about my thoughts. Oh, how's the stream doing, by the way? Any lag? Are we okay? Everything's okay so far since we started? Has there been any dips? Press F to pay respects. Has anyone pressed F yet since we just started? We good? Okay. No one has had to press F yet. Great. All right. So pretty soon after I graduated high school, there was my whole prom story, my miserable prom night, which I'm sure some of you guys know about. That's in another podcast. You can watch that if in another video if you want to know about that. But anyway, it was after that where I had torn a bunch of ligaments in my ankle, and I was on my ass basically for 2 months. And it was during that time that I became immersed in internet culture, because I was just surfing the web all day pretty much, waiting for my leg to repair itself. And it was a little while after that I had made Master Chief Sucks at Halo. So, like, Crackdown had just come out for Xbox 360. And the Crackdown disc had... I'm going to minimize the chat so it's not distracting me. Because just I can see the motion out of the corner of my eye, and it's distracting me. Is it lagging? You are fucking kidding me. No, are you fucking trolling? You better be trolling me. You fucking assholes. You're just typing F now to fuck with me? Is that it? Because I don't see that it's going down. No? We're good? You fucking cunts. I hate you. Okay. I'm gonna minimize the chat now so I can think. Okay, fucking trolls. All right. So I made Master Chief Sucks at Halo. So, yeah, Crackdown just came out for Xbox 360, and Crackdown had the Halo 3 beta loaded onto it, right? And I was playing the Halo 3 beta, and anyone who played Halo Online back then, you know how toxic the community used to be. And so I wanted to make a video that made fun of that. So I made Master Chief Sucks at Halo, and Master Chief was meant to satirize that attitude, right? And so I uploaded it to YouTube because I was just curious about whether or not, like, how successful it would be. Like, oh, I think this is funny. I'll just see how it does. And I uploaded it to YouTube. And this is way before the days of monetization or any shit like that. Like this, and it was when the internet was really and truly in its infancy, and nobody really gave a shit about copyright law. Least of all me. Which is why seasons 1 and 2 require a complete fucking audio overhaul. Because it's full of tracks, licensed tracks that I don't own. Anyway, so I made Master Chief Sucks at Halo, and around that, a few years before that time, a little company called Machinima had come to fruition in Los Angeles. And the company had seen my video. They'd found my video online, and then they reached out to me via email. And I was starting my first semester of college at the time. I was in my early 20s, and I was taking a course in game design because that's what I thought I wanted to do at first. But then I realized it was too computer science-y for me. But anyway, Machinima reached out to me and offered to pay me to keep making stupid videos on YouTube, and I said, "Hell yeah, dude!" And they gave me their contract, and me being a naive young 20-something, I didn't really care what it said. Actually, in fact, the way it was worded was actually very much in my benefit, because at the time, Machinima had vastly underestimated how successful my videos were going to be. So, like, the way it was written, I would get like $5 per 1,000 views or something like that after like a certain threshold was hit. A certain base threshold, and then after that I'd get an additional $5 for every 1,000 views. And so I put out I made videos for them. I created Arby and the Chief, right? Like, so, like, when I got a show deal with Machinima, I created a show for them, and I was like, okay, I don't know really how to make a show yet, but I'm going to do the best that I can and take it as seriously as I know how at this moment. And I'll learn along the way, you know? And that's what I did. So I created R being the Chief. I thought, I analyzed Master Chief Sucks at Halo and what could be better about it. And I was like, well, if I think it would be a lot funnier if it was like a comedy double act between Master Chief and a foil to that character, right? So hence why the Arbiter was created, right? The Arbiter was actually in Master Chief Sucks at Halo 3, but in that video, he was retarded like Master Chief. But in order for it to be really funny, I decided to make Arbiter a foil to Master Chief in that I would make him the intelligent kind of voice of reason, right? So he would clash with Master Chief's personality, right? So I created R being the Chief for them, and I created 3 seasons. And after the end of the 3rd season, I got burned out, and I withdrew. I emailed my production manager at the time, and I was like, dude, like it's not that I want to wash my hands of the show, R being the Chief, but I've had enough of it for now. Like, I need to like get away from it because I'm burned out, and I don't have any new ideas. Like, I don't know what to do. So, like, can you just let me take a break from R being the Chief? Because they wanted more videos from me, right? Like, as many as possible. And so my production manager was a cool guy. I liked him. And he was like the middleman between me and the business CEO types that I didn't want to be affiliated with, because I don't really like talking to those people. Like, this is why there's different departments in a company, right? You have your creatives, and then you have your business types, and they are so fucking polar opposite, like, mentality, right? I don't give a shit about... I mean, money's nice, don't get me wrong, but I don't give a shit about business and marketing and paperwork and advertisement and all that shit. I just wanted to write funny shit and make movies. That's my department, right? And so I had done 3 seasons for them, so I don't think asking for a break was unreasonable. You know, I was just like, dude, I just need a breather, and I'll come back to it eventually. I think that's what I said to them. And my production manager talked with them and said, look, we'll give you a break, but we want to keep the show going. So this is how R being the Chief in LA came to fruition. In LA, the toys go to Hollywood. What zany antics are they going to get into in Los Angeles? Los Angeles! Like anybody gives a fuck about Los Angeles. Like Los Angeles is noteworthy in any positive way. It's notorious for being a cesspool for like a freak show that attracts the worst kind of fucking people in the world. They all go to Los Angeles looking for airtime, and you know, they're so desperate to be on camera, whatever fucking form that takes. And everybody's so vain and self-obsessed and rude over there, and it's smoggy as fuck. The humidity over there is really nice. That's about the only thing I like about it. But anyway, so so they were going to make R being the Chief in LA, and they were going to produce it in-house without my involvement. I think I said I'd work on another show during the downtime. Like, I just creatively wanted, like, I was still willing to make videos, I think. This might have been around the time I made One Life Remaining or Hard Justice or whatever. I can't remember, but R being the Chief, I just needed a break from in particular. I didn't want to do that storyline anymore for a while. And so my manager was like, okay, so while you're doing your downtime, we'll produce a season in-house. We'll handle the scripts. We'll handle the filming, the editing, all of that, and you don't have to... He's talking to me, right? Like, you don't have to worry about anything. But what we will do is we will send you the scripts, and you can approve them. And once they're approved, then we'll go ahead and produce them. And I was like, all right, sounds cool. And so then that happened. And then the screenwriter was my manager, my production manager, who I don't think was a screenwriter. I'm not sure he'd written anything. And his writing, he's a nice guy. I'm not shitting on him, but his writing was just, his screenwriting was terrible. And he sent me the draft of the first episode, and I was like, fuck, man, where do I start? I mean, I'm supposed to approve this, right? But like, if I just said, no, this is unacceptable, do it again, not only was I worried about that sounding really egotistical of me, but and rude, but it's just like, I got the sense that no matter what he did to try and fix it, I would still be not happy with it because it wasn't me doing it, you know? And so I made a poor decision, and I just said, you know what, just go ahead and make it. If this is what you want to do, I need a break, okay? And you need to keep making the show. So it was like an unstoppable force meets an immovable object kind of thing. I was just like, you do what you got to do. Just fucking make it, whatever. Maybe it'll turn out okay. Of course it didn't. It was a fucking disaster. Pilot came out, and then a few more episodes came out, and it was just received terribly. Everybody was just like, what the fuck is this, dude? This isn't the same thing. They got everything wrong. It wasn't shot right. The frame rate wasn't right. The shots weren't right. The puppeteering wasn't right. The subtitles were wrong. The way the voices sounded was wrong. The writing, the ethos behind the scripts, it was just all fucking wrong, you know? And I was just like, fuck me, man. I was getting really annoyed because I'm like, fuck, this is, you know, the reputation for the show is deteriorating. And so after the first few episodes, I was like, I'll do the writing. I'll write the rest of them. You keep producing it in-house and I'll handle the scripts. Hoping that would save it to some degree. But it was still dog shit because, like, even though I was writing the scripts, I was still continuing the story that they had established. Like, I couldn't just... It felt weird to just, like, do something different, like a third of the way into the season. So I just wrote a bunch of episodes that were shit, I admit. And it was just a way of finishing off that storyline that they had established. Because I guess it was just me being too agreeable because I didn't want to throw what they had done already out the window. Because I was still young at the time, you know? I didn't want to be a diva, you know what I mean? Where I've got all these demands because I'm such a fucking big shot. Like, I didn't have that mentality at all. But I was really annoyed about the poor reception of the whole thing. And then as soon as the whole R being the chief in LA thing was over, I said, I'll take it back. Give me the show back, and I feel better now. I don't need a break anymore. I'm good now. So just give me the show. And I picked it up from season 4, and I handled everything again. I did the writing, I did the editing, puppeteering, every fucking thing. And I did season 4, and that was really well received. I think some of my best episodes were in season 4. And then that this was a very pivotal point for the fan base because I polarized a lot of people at this point. Because somebody on Twitter said my show suffers from Cerberus syndrome. It's basically where a comedy show all of a sudden starts taking itself too seriously and becomes not what it was before. But to a degree, that's true. It wasn't what it was before, but I don't think it was to the detriment of the show. I thought the show was getting better. I thought what I was doing was an improvement to the show. There's always going to be some people who disagree with me and think it, you know, the earlier seasons are better and the new direction I took was shit. But I'm not convinced. I still think what I did was good. I liked that I expanded on what the show was. I liked that I took the storytelling way more seriously, and it really helped me develop my storytelling skills. In fact, it was in season 4 that my understanding of screenwriting and storytelling really took off. There was a particular episode called what the fuck was it? Digital Fruitcakes. the Clockwork Orange parody episode, and then after that it was Night of the Evading Dead. That was really the point where something clicked for me, and I started taking the scripts really seriously at that point, and the structure of the episodes, you know, and that's where the point where there is actual character development, like the characters would change throughout the course of an episode or throughout the course of a season, right? And so season 4 was done, and then season 5 was story-driven, and then season 6 was story-driven, heavily influenced by Breaking Bad. I was obsessed with Breaking Bad at the time, and I thought, this is the fucking best show I've ever seen on TV, one of the best shows ever, and it's so fucking compelling. And, like, it wasn't that I wanted to copy Breaking Bad, but I wanted to, like, I wanted my show to have the same level of the same compelling nature about it, you know, where it's like, I have to watch the next episode. Like, how do I replicate that feeling, you know, of just like, I've got to see what happens next. And so I loved that hyper serialized approach where basically, like, season 5, 6, and 7, all those episodes are basically like one episode. Like, season 5 is basically one big episode. How many episodes is that? Like 10, 13? I can't remember. Something like that. For season 5 anyway. And with each successive season, there was more episodes. And then season 5, I built up to this big wedding crash as a finale, which I thought was really cool. I started doing non-linear storytelling for the first time. I thought that worked out really well, even though people were really impatient with me right up until the finale. And the finale blew everyone away in season 5, and they're like, "Oh, okay, fine. That was fuck. I gotta hand it to you, John. That was pretty fucking cool." And that was one of the most grueling fucking episode edits that I've ever done. Just freaking out, and my hands are constantly shaking, and I'm chain smoking cigarettes by the window at like 4 a.m, editing, trying to get the episode out on time. It was fucking brutal, man. And then I did season 6, and then season 7, and I took the story even more seriously. And season 7 was the longest, at that point, the longest season I had done by far. I think I'm not even done season 8 yet, but the total accumulated runtime of season 8 is already longer than the entirety of season 7. And I'm not even done season 8 yet. Not even close. Even though it started 3 years ago, everyone's like, what the fuck, man? When is this going to end? When is season 8 going to end? Like 2040? There's going to be fucking flying cars. I mean, food is going to be in pill form. We're all going to be fucking plugged into the Matrix by then. Everyone's going to be living in a fucking VR with hentai waifus. Anyway. So I made season 5, 6, and 7, right? And season 7 was divided into 2 halves. Halfway through season 7, I wanted another break. And then I came back and I finished off season 7. And I think I definitely, it paid off for the show, for me taking that break. You know, I felt like I needed it. So there's that halfway point, and then I picked up exactly where it left off for the second half. And then I think I brought it to, again, a polarizing end, but one that I'm still proud of to this day, because I knew I wanted to reach that end from the very beginning of season 7, and it's foreshadowed from the nearly the very first frame of season 7. One of the first frames of season 7 in the first episode foreshadows the end of season 7, and it's like 25 episodes long. So I was really proud of how far ahead I thought about that, you know. And there's a hell of a lot of thought I put into that season, and I think it paid off, and I'm really proud of it. But anyway, okay, so that part of the story's over. So I had just finished season 7, right? And at that point, I had a new contact at Machinima. I'm not going to name any names, but I had a new contact, and he had me sign a new contract going forward. And he had me sign this new contract with me under the impression that they were willing to go forward with me. Like, they wanted more content from me. Like, I had pitched to them the idea, like, Arby and the Chief was done, right? So I'm like, that's the series finale. And so if you guys want to keep working with me, I have a new show idea and I'll start producing that. And I was under the impression that they were completely on board with that. And so they said, yeah, sure, but they had me sign a new contract going forward. Now, I didn't pay too much attention to the wording of it at the time, unfortunately. But in that new contract that I signed, there were these. I don't want to get into specifics about what the contract said, but there were revised clauses in regard to content control, disclosure, and employment status. So with every new contract I sign, it supersedes all the terms and conditions of the previous contract. So I had signed this new thing, and one of the revisions to this new contract was that you can't disclose the terms of the contract, and said clause persists even beyond termination of the agreement. So I'm I just realized this recently because I was reading over my past contracts. I'm like, fuck, they can just do that? Like, they can just write. It's like, you know how if you're playing with like a spoiled kid, like you're playing a game and this spoiled bratty kid just makes up a bunch of rules on the fly. Like, oh, you can't use that spell. I've got special armor on. Like Cartman from South Park, essentially. It was like the contract equivalent of that, where they can just write whatever bullshit rule they want. So you can't talk about these contracts at all. You can't go into detail about these contracts even after the contract is terminated. I was like, that's fucking shady. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I had signed this thing, right? And then the new show that I was going to develop for them was Chemotherapy, right? Some of you probably saw it. It's on my channel. I had made a pilot episode of the show, and then I submitted that to them, and that sat on their servers for like at least a month, I think, or a number of weeks at least. And I was waiting for feedback the whole time. I'm like, you guys do want to go forward with me, right? So, like, what's the holdup here? Like, if there's a problem with what I've submitted to you, let me know. If there isn't, why aren't you uploading it to your channel? Like, I don't get what the holdup is here. And so, like, a month later, or a number of weeks later, I finally get feedback on my pilot saying, they basically told me my pilot episode for Chemotherapy was way too edgy, and that it was on the level of a BBC satire, and that they thought my show was too smart for their general audiences. And I kept insisting, dude, you vastly underestimate the intelligence of your audience. Like, what I'm doing isn't highbrow. It's just like, it's satire, but that doesn't mean it's hard to get, you know? Your audience isn't as fucking retarded as you think. Like, they'll get it. Don't worry. They got Army and the Chief just fine. They'll get this. But they thought it was it would go over people's heads, and they wanted me to tone it down. They thought it was too edgy because, like, the Chemotherapy pilot had the whole joke was that I would play this character, right, who's the host of a video game review show, and that he insists that he's not a fanboy. But the opening gag of the pilot was that he carves Xbox into his forearm with a razor blade. And you can see, like, the fake blood and stuff. Like, it looked really convincing on camera. I thought it was funny as fuck. Apparently, that was too edgy. I'd traumatize you guys for life if you saw that. Oh, Jesus. So they were like, you got to tone it down. I was like, okay. So I gave them a nerfed version of that. That wasn't as funny. I thought it was lame, but I was just like, this is what they want. So I gave that to them. And I was waiting weeks again for feedback. And so I'm emailing them like, what's going on? I'm still waiting for feedback. Still nothing. And then I start getting impatient, and I sent this impatient email saying, hey, what the fuck's going on, man? And then I finally get an email back from my contact saying that they don't want to work with me anymore. Conveniently, right after I had signed this new contract that superseded everything from the old contract and had those revised disclosure clauses and content control clauses. And, coincidentally, they had me sign that, and then they decided to let me go very soon after. And they were telling me that the company didn't have any money, so they had to cut a bunch of staff. Do you guys remember that? When there was mass layoffs at Machinima, they fired a lot of their staff. A lot of key members that I thought were cool. Like, not everyone at Machinima was a fucking asshole. Although there was a lot of sweet people there. Adam Kovic, Matt Danovic, Kale Anonymous. There's a few other ones, like a bunch that acted in my show, like Hutch. I can't remember his real name. Hutch was his handle, and then Bruce Green. I don't know if like they remember me, or I'm sure they do, but Rob Talbert, that was another one. He was another one. I think all of those guys got axed. But I was skeptical about them having no money. I'm like, what are you fucking kidding me? All that ad revenue you guys are collecting, and you're telling me you have no fucking money? I mean, if I was getting millions of views on my channel through and I was getting the ad revenue off that, I'd be a fucking rich motherfucker, I'm pretty sure. Like, what are you guys spending it on? You guys buying or spending all your money on fucking yacht parties over there? Like, what are you doing? Just buying Scarface mounds of Coke? What is it you're doing? I'm not saying they did that. I'm just, like, curious about where all that fucking money went. Because I think they were doing pretty well, view and advertisement-wise. But anyway, what next? So they sent me an email saying they were letting me go, right? And I was just like, fuck, all right. Like, this was a really unprofessional way to handle it. I mean, you should have let me know. You should have let me known this, like, before I made even the new pilot. Like, the whole thing was fucking suspicious. Like, it seemed like they wanted to drop me as soon as Arby and the Chief was done. And then they had me sign this new contract while I was under the impression they wanted to go forward with me, and then all of a sudden they didn't want to work with me anymore. And they didn't let me know until, like, months later. And so I was like, all right, we'll go our separate ways then, but I'm missing some money. I think at that point I was missing 10 grand in, like, payments that I was due that I had not received. And to their credit, I got the majority of it back, but I think there's still about 3 grand that I was owed, that I was convinced that I was owed from them. But they were insisting on their end that they had gone over all the invoices that they had, but I was convinced that wasn't the case. I even sent them like a color-coded chart saying, like, look, these are the months that you must be overlooking over there. And they were like, well, we've gone through all our paperwork. We can't find any more invoices. Like, on our end, it looks like we've taken care of everything. And I was so fucking infuriated. I was just like, you know what? I'll let it go. Just don't bother me again. I don't want to talk to you guys anymore. And we went our separate ways. I didn't talk to them again. So, fast forward 5 years to May of this month, where out of a total of, I think, 146 videos that I had made for Machinima's channel over a span of 5 years, they had removed about 100 of them. That's like 2/3 of all my videos made private for no explained reason. They didn't tell me anything. No notification. And it wasn't just me either. It's a shitload of people. Like Kale Anonymous, he got fucked horribly by Machinima. He made so much content for them. And unlike me, like thankfully I had fans that archived all my shit. Nobody archived his stuff, I don't think, so he lost it all. They deleted all his shit, now he has nothing, like no body of work to speak of. And he made really good shit. He made a show called Critical Flaw, which in particular I really liked. I thought it was hilarious. And he lost all that. But that wasn't the only thing. He did a shitload of content for them, and interviews and press coverage and panel coverage and tourism coverage that he lost it all, right? And no, not just him, a bunch of other directors, like a bunch of people that, because they deal primarily with youth, right? Young directors, right? Because that's usually the kind of people who make Machinima are like, I don't want to say they're all kids, but they're all young. You know, kids to young adults, right? And because it's all rooted in video games, right? And video games is like a kid/young adult hobby, right? Because Machinima started with Quake and Doom before that in the 90s. And then even before that, there was the computer software demo scene. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but in the 80s, that was a huge thing. I'll get into that later. So Machinima pulls down a shitload of their content. I thought it was just my show at first, right? But then I start looking into it a bit more, and then like I see this screenshot someone took of their YouTube analytics, and it says that they have like negative 1 billion views, like all at once. So it's just like, oh shit, that can't be just all my stuff. They must be taking down a shitload of stuff. Like, why the fuck are they doing this? And then I also noticed that they have a new logo, which coincidentally is the complete inverse of the old logo. Instead of black and red with curved edges, it's white and green with straight edges. I wonder what they're trying to do. Maybe a complete inverse of their brand. They're trying to... Like, they want to retain the name Machinima, but they want to shake off all the controversy that's associated with their company, right? So I think they were convinced that a rebranding and a website/logo redesign would shake all that off, right? And I'm like, why the fuck would they decide to do this? And then that's when I found out about the Warner Brothers acquisition. So, and this I really object to. Okay, so what Machinima had done was, and I really and truly morally objected to this, even though contractually I figured I was fucked. Morally, I knew this was wrong what they were doing. They had, for across a span of years, they had built success for themselves off the backs of their everybody who was participating in their Young Directors program, right? So they had this wealth of content. They gained a certain level of success based off of that. And then once they reached that level of success and gained the attention of Warner Brothers acquired them. So now they are a sub-entity of Warner Brothers. They're a part of that family. And then I guess in order to be a part of the Warner Brothers family, they had to clean up their act, so to speak. So then they decide to bury the work of all those young directors, leaving them with no body of work to speak of to use for future employment, like as a demo reel, or just to even persist online as like just a creatively satisfying legacy. That's how I worded it. You know? Because like if you're a filmmaker, right, and you make a deal with a studio and you make a movie under a contract with them, you don't expect that movie to go anywhere. Like not erased. Like what fucking filmmaker in the world exists where they would be okay with their movie being erased, all traces of their movie being erased in 5 to 10 years? Like the whole point, one of the major purposes of doing film is that you have a legacy that persists throughout history and withstands the test of time. It's not going to go anywhere. People can always watch it, no matter how much time passes. If I knew all my content was going to disappear in 10 years, I wouldn't have signed that contract to begin with. Like, I had no reason to think they would pull all their content down. And it fucking annoyed me. All these fucking cunts on Twitter and Reddit who are just like contrarians desperate for an argument, right? They're just like, well, to play devil's advocate, he signed the dotted line. And they'll say dotted line instead of just contract in order to like emphasize my decision to like sign a contract and knowingly agree to their terms and conditions. Even though I was a young guy at the time. I mean, I should have been smarter about it. I should have read in detail what I was signing, right? But I'm in my early 20s. I don't give a shit. They're offering me money to make stupid movies on YouTube, and I was like, hell yeah. And I'm sure that was the reaction of every kid they approached, because they're kids. Like, it's so fucking twisted, you know? They deal with youth primarily and get them to sign these horrible contracts, right? And then they get screwed over later, and then they tell people, and people online are telling people like me, well, you signed a contract and they can do whatever they want with it, so fuck you. No, fuck you, all right? You can suck my fucking cock. Like, so little sympathy. If you guys had any fucking idea how much work I put into that show across all 7 seasons, your fucking head would explode. If you could really, truly comprehend the amount of work and thought that went into each of those seasons, accumulatively, your fucking brain would just go blood everywhere. And I was really annoyed by it. Like, how can you be so fucking insensitive? Like, you're just being contrarian, playing devil's advocate for its own sake because you want to look like, the fuck, I don't know, man. And maybe they got a point and I'm just being irrationally angry about it, but I thought what Machinima was doing was wrong. I was just convinced that what they were doing was wrong. And I made a stink about it. I was like, no, fuck that. So I sent Machinima an angry tweet one day. I was just like, hey, it's me, John Graham, the guy you fucked in the ass today. Noticed that 2/3 of all my videos are gone for no fucking reason. Just wondering what the hell's going on. And then Machinima slid into my DMs after that, and they were like, hey, we just sent you an email in regard to this situation. Thanks. And then I started communicating with their one of their talent production coordinators, whatever the title is, I can't remember. Some talent manager, right? And I'm talking to this girl. And I haven't met her before. She's probably nice, just doing her job, but I mean, just full of shit though, right? I mean, she's just a voice box for whatever script Warner Brothers or / Machinima has prepared for her to say to me to just get me to go away. Because I think that's really what they wanted. So I'm talking with this chick, and she says, I mean, a bunch of you guys, you probably, like, if you want to know what I wrote in the emails, I will share with you today the last email I sent to them, which I'm convinced is the thing that tipped this whole thing over. But if you want to hear the rest of the emails that I sent, you just check my previous podcast. A bunch of you have probably heard them already. Anyway, I was very nice to begin with, but as the months went by, I got increasingly impatient, and my emails got more rude and more sarcastic. Not undeservingly, I felt, because they were really fucking testing my patience. And I was perfectly affable in the beginning. I wasn't at first with the tweet, but once we started emailing, I was like, okay, well, maybe we'll get somewhere now, so I'll just be nice. And so I just laid it out. I was like, I worked with you guys from 2008 to 2013. I just noticed all my videos are getting pulled. and I want to know what the fuck's happening. And then she comes back to me with some bullshit. Like, she uses all this jargon, like, my operational team is conducting some analyses. I'm like, oh, they're conducting analyses, are they? With their fucking lab coats on, you know, with beakers full of, one beaker full of red liquid, one with blue liquid, and then they pour one into the other, and then they get green smoke coming out. Those kind of analyses, because you're scientists over there. This is so fucking complicated what you're doing. Operational analyses. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, let them do their analyses and get back to me when you can. And so like a week or a number of weeks had passed, and I'm still not hearing anything. So I keep sending him emails like, dude, what's going on? Will you fucking tell me something? And they just keep dodging my questions, sidestepping, not telling me a goddamn thing. And then eventually I come back to them with an impatient email saying like, look, it's been like a month now. I still don't have a fucking clue where we stand. Like, how about throwing me a fucking bone here, man? Like, I've done so much work for you guys. You guys wouldn't... I wasn't the only one who brought them to success, but I was one of the key players. And so for you to just bury all my work and go forward with this lucrative Warner Brothers deal that you wouldn't have landed if it weren't for guys like me, like, fuck that. I remember that chick was like, oh yeah, she explained that it was house cleaning, right? They were house cleaning because they were newly acquired by Warner Brothers. She didn't explicitly state that at first, but she didn't need to, because all their fucking corporate emails are like this doesn't show up if it's like an email from one machinima.com address to another, but if it's a machinima.com address to somebody outside the Machinima network, then there'll be this text that's in like highlighted in yellow that'll say like, this response originates outside of the Warner Brothers network. You know, just so, you know, the employees are kept on their toes, and they're like, oh, I better play my cards pretty close to my chest here, because this guy doesn't work with Warner Brothers. You know, he's outside the network. He's not one of us. So we better be careful. And so that right there tells me like they're not being completely honest with me, right? That might not be necessarily the case, but it just annoyed me, okay? So anyway, so this chick was like, I regret to inform you that if we find your videos to be inappropriate, we won't be putting them. Like, we've just been acquired by Warner Brothers, right? And we have all this old content that we now believe may not be suitable for our new audience that we're trying to reach. So they just decided to pull everything down all at once, and then they're gonna review all however the fuck many videos they pulled down one at a time and screen them all for appropriateness, whatever the fuck that means. That could mean anything in this retarded, politically correct environment we live in now, where everything fucking sucks and everybody's humorless, and you can't make jokes anymore, and you can't say radically controversial things such as boys are boys and girls are girls. You can't say that anymore. That's bad. That's fucking evil if you say that. So, like, I don't know what the fuck appropriate means, and I'm asking them what their screening process is like. It's like, what are you screening for exactly? And if you find material that's inappropriate, what are you going to be doing to the videos exactly? Are you going to be bleeping them? Are you going to be deleting episodes entirely? Are you going to be removing shots, which they've done already without notifying me in the past? Like, what are you going to do? Like, are you going to put up the censored episodes and it's all just going to be botched horse shit that's going to frustrate all my fans? They're just like, what the fuck is this? Upload the original. What the fuck are you guys doing? Like, I felt that's what was going to happen, and I was so fucking upset. You know, it's just like, I felt like I was screwed either way. Like, if they were going to put my videos back up, on the off chance that they were going to put my videos back up, that they would be censored all to shit. And nobody would think they were funny anymore. And they would be full of beeps and bleeps and deleted scenes and, like, just removing all the charm from it, essentially, right? So I don't know what to think. And so I keep asking them what's going to happen, and they keep dodging my fucking questions. It gets to a point where this chick keeps spamming to me, this issue is pending with our legal team. I'm like, okay, fine. Like a week later, I email them again, like, hey, what's going on? Still waiting for an update. And she's like, yeah, it's still pending with our legal team. But before that, she had sent me a spreadsheet full of copyright claims. And I guess the implication was that this spreadsheet full of copyright claims was the end-all, be-all of why they were pulling the videos down in the first place, which wasn't what they told me initially. They told me that they pulled them down for house cleaning reasons. That was the word they used. And then all of a sudden I get this spreadsheet full of copyright claims that I'm like, what does this have to do with the video availability? Like, a video can still be available if it has a copyright claim on it. Sometimes they'll get pulled, but not all the time. So you're telling me this is just about copyrights now? Like, let's assume that all these copyright disputes get resolved. What then? You guys are still concerned about the subject matter in the episodes, right? So, like, are they still going to be, they're still going to be screened for content and reviewed, right? So you still haven't answered my questions about the review process. How long is it going to take? What are you going to do to them exactly? What is it you're looking for? What is it that's not okay? They weren't telling me any of this shit. And so I went through their spreadsheet full of copyright claims, which had a bunch of errors in it, like links leading to the wrong videos than what they said in the spreadsheet, and incorrect time codes and incorrect labels for the tracks that were, that I shouldn't have used. And most of those claims are fucking horseshit, by the way, because fucking YouTube and YouTube's dumb fucking robots that just mass flag everything like firing buckshot. They don't even care what the fuck they're aiming at. Like, these robots just fire out flags and claims with no acknowledgement of any prior agreement that was made, such as Microsoft saying that they can, Machinima creators are allowed to use tracks from the Halo game score because it falls under Microsoft's game content usage rules. So back then, it was okay for me to use the Halo theme, which is why you hear the Halo theme at the beginning and end of all the Season 3 episodes. I think Season 1 and 2, at least some of them. But that was the reason I was using the Halo theme, was because at the time it was okay. But then YouTube is all fucking full of robots now, and they don't give a fuck about, like, any of those prior arrangements. And YouTube is, like, guilty until proven innocent now. God, it's such fucking bullshit. The other day, I re-uploaded the Season 3, Episode 1, Cold. I uploaded that, and it has a bunch of licensed tracks in it. Every track, by the way, I purchased a license for. The only problem is I found the emails to my my initial contact at Machinima. Like, I found a really old email in 2008 that had a zip file containing the licenses for those tracks in the Cold episode. But the thing is, Hotmail archived the email, but not the attachments. So I can see the link to a zip file in that email, but if I try to access the zip file, it'll say the file's not found, right? 404. And but within that zip file, I know were the PDFs that had the proof of purchase for those tracks in the episode Cold, right? So I recently re-uploaded Cold, right? And I didn't even, as soon as the upload was done, I didn't even publish the fucker yet. Before it was even published. Like, I clicked to monetize, and it's like, sorry, you can't do this. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I realized, like, oh, they flagged it already. And there was 3 separate claims on it for 3 different tracks, all of which I owned the licenses for. I paid for all of those tracks. But YouTube doesn't give a fuck. YouTube's cyborgs. They're just like, oh, that's a track that's not yours. It belongs to this faceless media conglomerate. Epic Elite, I think it was called. Like, what the fuck is that? I haven't heard of that in my life. at any point in my life. I don't know. What is this company? And so I filed a dispute. So you go on YouTube, right? And you go through their dispute process, and you're like, there's like a million fucking check boxes that you have to check. It's like, I verify that I'm telling the truth and blah, 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 blah. And this, I'm really serious about this dispute. And yes, I want to confirm this. And yes, I want to go through with this and blah, 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 blah. It's like a million pages until it actually pushes the dispute through. Because if you're going to dispute it, YouTube wants you to be absolutely sure that you have sufficient evidence to prove it. And I knew that I bought the licenses. But YouTube's dispute page doesn't even have like a search for / attach file thing so you can actually show them proof of purchase. All there is on their dispute page is a text field for you to briefly state why this claim is bullshit. And so I wrote, in 2008, I purchased these tracks from stockmusic.net. Stock-music.net. I don't think that website exists anymore, but it did at one point, and I bought the tracks from there. And there, as far as I know, there was no statute of limitations on that. As far as I knew, that license persisted forever. So this whole claim thing is bullshit. And so I forward the claims, right? And then it looks like I'm in the clear for a few days. But then a couple days later, I get an email back saying, sorry, we couldn't get rid of the claim because this third party has determined that their claim is still valid. And it's like YouTube lists like reasons this could have happened. 1, your reasoning was insufficient. I'm like, well, YouTube has no fucking option to attach proof of purchase. So what the fuck am I supposed to do? I'm already doing the best I can. I explicitly stated, I bought this fucking thing in 2008. What's the problem? But the third party, whoever the fuck it is, can just go, nope. Nah, fuck it. Fuck you in your asshole. We're gonna keep our claim on your video anyway, whether you like it or not. So I'm like, fuck, man. What do I have to do? What can I do? Nothing. And YouTube's like, you can dispute this again, but if you do, and the third party determines that it's invalid again, then they can have your video pulled permanently. So I was like, well, fuck. I'm already lucky enough that I'm able to upload my videos in the first place, so I decided then that I didn't want to risk it, and I was like, fuck it. And, you know, to be honest, it's not a huge deal. It's one video out of a surplus of videos, and there's not, out of the total videos I've done, most of them are my original music. Like season 4 and onward are all my original tracks that I made because I was fed up buying licenses. It's like, fuck it, I'll just make the music. So I'm fine there. But it's just fucking annoying. This guilty until proven innocent shit and this dispute process is bullshit. And the fact that they favor these big shady conglomerates over the small YouTubers, even though I have proof of I know I bought the fucking things and I disputed it, but it doesn't matter. They can just go, no, even though like I'm still out of pocket for buying that track, but I guess you're saying based on nothing that I can't use it anymore for commercial purposes. Thanks a lot. Awesome. Where the fuck was I? I'm not looking at the chat yet. I'm on a roll here. God knows what everyone's saying by now. They're probably like, oh, calm down, John. We don't like to see you upset. I'm not upset, okay? I a little bit. But, I mean, I've got my show back, and so I can't monetize one video. Big fucking deal. Who cares? It's just annoying. I think their dispute process is bullshit, and I think they need to rework it. But anyway, so where the fuck did I leave off? I got into this whole dispute thing. So Machinima pulled my videos down. I was in contact with them. They were telling me it's pending with their legal team. And okay, so the last email I got from them was on June 15th, right? And so fast forward to like the end of August, and I still haven't heard anything from their legal team. And so I'm like, well, the emails aren't working, so what the fuck do I do now? Hang on, let me just bring up my list here, my timeline. I figure out where I am. Oh, so the copyright claims, right? The spreadsheet that they sent me. So the day I got that email, the day I got the spreadsheet, I spent that entire afternoon digging up every single receipt for every fucking track that I ever purchased throughout my time with Machinima from 2008 to 2013. Every receipt. So the only claims in the spreadsheet that wouldn't have been covered by those receipts were the Halo tracks from the Halo soundtrack, which is fine, and because it's under Microsoft's rules, and there are a bunch of tracks there from seasons 1 and 2 that I objectively shouldn't have used, and I used them at the time because back then I didn't give a fuck about copyright law, and neither did Machinima. They let me do it. Nobody gave a fuck about copyright law back then because the internet was the Wild West. It still is the Wild West. But back then it was Will Smith, Wild Wild West. You know? Where there's just no regulation and everyone is just violating copyright law left and right. Nobody gave a fuck because YouTube was just like virtually brand new back then, right? And even though we've come some distance in terms of copyright law on the internet, like laying the rules down, as a species, we are still very much in the infancy of the internet. We've still got a lot of progress to make. But we're getting somewhere slowly, but we're still in the infancy of the internet. We don't really know what we're doing with it yet. We don't know how to deal with it. I mean, as a species, we're in a state of chaos right now with like social media and the political polarization and it just sucks right now. And political correctness and all that shit. And it's the introduction of the internet is a huge thing for the human species, right? I mean, it changes things radically, the way we all connect with each other across the globe instantaneously. That is brand new. Like, considering how long we've been on the earth and how long we've been evolving for, to all of a sudden have the internet like that, where we can all of a sudden we have global instantaneous broadcasting from one point in the world to any other point in the world. That's fucking huge. That is so fucking huge. That is a revolution in communication. A huge revolution. But nobody thinks of the internet that way because the internet is so closely associated with memes and stupid bullshit. To so many people, the internet's just a big fat joke, right? That everybody takes for granted. That's why so many millennials are so fucking insufferable and annoying. They take all this shit for granted. They think the internet was always here. You know? They grew up. They came out of the womb with a fucking iPhone in their hands. And they think they're so entitled to everything. And if there's anything in the world that they don't like, they can just make a petition on change.org and mold the world around them like they're Neo at the end of the fucking Matrix. I am the one. I can bend reality to my will. Wah, 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 wah. Fucking assholes. Ungrateful pricks. Anyway, where was I? Shit. I can't remember. The spreadsheet. Okay, so I dug up all the receipts, and I spent the whole afternoon doing it, and one by one for every receipt, I was redacting. I was using Adobe Acrobat to redact sensitive information because it had like my old home address on it. And I wanted to get rid of that. And so I sent them all the receipts across 5 years and it would have covered most of the copyright claims. And weeks went by and I never heard anything. And so I'm like, hey, what's going on with the copyright claims? Any progress? How about a single fucking update of any kind? Has anybody done anything? Has a single staff member at Machinima taken a breath in and a breath out? That would be progress of some kind. Like, tell me something. Fuck. What are you doing over there? And I was really fucking sarcastic at one point. I was in my email. I was just like, Oh, it's pending with your legal team. Is it still? Well, let me know when they're done playing beer pong and pin the tail on the donkey in there, long enough for somebody to use their fucking motor skills to perhaps walk their fat ass out of that conference room, go to their keyboard and write me a fucking email giving me a progress update. A progress update to one of their key players who helped build their success to what it is now. To the point where they could make a deal with Warner Brothers in the first place. You guys are such assholes. Fuck! Ah! I was so mad. You have no idea how fucking mad I was. Okay? So anyway. Don't worry, we're having fun. We're all having fun here, aren't we? All right, where was I? So I sent the receipts, right? I'm just going to take a peek at the chat. I want to see what's going on. Oh my God, they're so fucking... Just endless spam. That's great. Okay. I'm still not looking at the chat. Okay, so... where are we? So they're not getting back to me, right? I'm still waiting on an update. And so this is when I start the hashtag. Hashtag save Arby and the Chief. It's so fucking douchey, but I hate hashtags. Ugh, I hate them. Especially when they're so flippant, you know? Like everything's a fucking hashtag. Hashtag ate breakfast this morning. Good for you, you cunt. Why don't you just eat it and shut up? So I started this hashtag, and I'm sure to the annoyance of absolutely everybody who follows me on Twitter, I started this aggressive social media campaign where I would just basically retweet anybody who was tweeting my hashtag. And I was trying to encourage people to be vocal, you know? Because at this point, I'm fucked unless I can get people to be vocal about the situation, right? It's like, I can't do this on my own, guys. So, like, if you're a fan of the show and you want to see it return, I need help here, okay? So, like, be annoying on Twitter until I get my way, basically. Because I felt that I was in the right, I actually had some moral ground to stand on. I recognize that there's a responsibility that comes with having a following, right? I wouldn't just sick my Twitter followers on anybody. But this is an extreme circumstance where I feel like I'm truly and truly being wronged here, right? And, you know, my fans are at a loss too, because they're fans of the show and they can't watch it anymore, not reliably. I mean, they have to wait for some other fucker on YouTube to upload all my content, you know? It's the hilarious thing about the internet. Like, I was thinking, I made a joke on Twitter saying, you know, I work my ass off making videos for Machinima, and at the end of the day, all my videos end up on a channel that neither belongs to Machinima or me. They're all on every other fucking channel except those two. Like, what the fuck kind of world do we live in where that's the case, where that can happen? Fuck me. The world is so fucking twisted. And so everyone's tweeting, save Arby and the Chief, and every day I'm just like fucking making it rain on Twitter with like retweets. I'm just like, come on, let Machinima know how you feel, you know, because this is the only way this is going to get resolved, if you guys are vocal, right? Because this is such bullshit, and it's so easy for them. Like, they're pulling my videos down. They're not monetizing them. They're apparently making no effort to get them back online. And if they are, they're not telling me. And if they were, why wouldn't they tell me? Why wouldn't they be working with me? Like, I was offering to help them. Like, if you're actively trying to get my videos back online, tell me what the process is. Tell me what progress you're making. I will fucking help you do it. God knows you need the help. Like, for 10 years you guys had to properly sort my videos, like label them properly, give them matching thumbnails, put them in the right playlists, but fuck that. Like, their playlists were so fucking weird. Like, it didn't even start from season 1. It started from season 6 and like then 7, and then it skipped 1, and then it went to 9 and 10. I was like, I'm not even finished season 8 yet. What is this season 9 and 10? Are you guys fucking high over there? What are you thinking? And none of the titles are like, none of the titles have a similar format. They're all fucking different. It all just looks so like hodgepodge, like a Frankenstein monster of putting all my videos together, and just like there's just entire seasons are missing, and there's no season that's complete, and there's like, even though the show is hyper serialized, there's a bunch of episodes that are missing, and so if just one is missing, that's gonna piss people off and make people not want to watch the show. It was fucking infuriating, man. They had so much time to fix it, and they didn't. Nobody took a day to just take care of it. And I would have helped them if they had just been honest with me. And so, and then I have there's all these people on Twitter, right? That are just like, the understanding of intellectual property law among the common people is so fucking pathetic. Never mind, if not non-existent. I have all these people on Twitter. They're just like, what's the problem, dude? Just upload the videos, dude. They're your videos, dude. Just fucking upload them, dude. Fuck them. Fuck them, dude. I'm like, you have no idea. Have you ever heard of this thing called the law and contracts, and the fact that if I were to do what you're suggesting, that they could throw a lawsuit at me and I could be sued? Like, and I wouldn't put that past them either. I've got no reason to trust them. Why shouldn't I think that they're going to screw me over if I give them an opportunity like that? This isn't a fucking Saturday morning cartoon where the law doesn't exist, you know? Like, everyone has this image of me sitting across from Machinima in a courtroom, and I'm going to have, like, what's that lawyer, O.J. Simpson's lawyer who was in South Park with the Chewbacca defense? Like that guy, but it's not the Chewbacca defense. It's like, or you know that show Columbo? The detective with the trench coat, where he always has that, like, surprise revelation right at the end? Like, that would be my lawyer, right? And imagine a courtroom setting, right? And I'm sitting there at my table, and Machinima, their representatives, are sitting at their table, right? And then I have my lawyer pacing in front of the judge dramatically, like it's a TV show, Law and Order, right? And then my lawyer goes, well, it would seem Machinima has won this case. And then he would walk away. But then, as he's walking away, he would put one finger up. He'd be like, accept. And then he'd turn around dramatically. And he'd go through some paperwork, and he'd be like, it seems that Machinima has overlooked this cliche 80s movie underdog clause that clearly states that John Graham can have his show back under the strict condition that he tears his contract in half in front of Machinima and leaves the courtroom today on a skateboard. And then I'd stand up with my contract in my hand and be like, here's what I think of your contract, Machinima. Shh! And I'd tear it up into confetti and throw the confetti in the air. And then, to uproarious applause from everyone in the courtroom. And then I'd jump on a skateboard and I'd ride out as like an 80s song was playing. We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. And I'd be high-fiving everyone in the fucking pews on the way out. And then I'd like pop a wheelie. What do you call that? I'd do a kickflip like on the courtroom stairs. Yeah, fuck yeah, woo! Arby and the Chief is back, baby, yeah! That's not how intellectual property law works, you idiots, okay? It's a little more complicated and depressing than that in real life. So, I can't just upload the videos, dude. I need clearance from them, okay? I need the go ahead. And then I can feel comfortable because at least then I have it in writing. It's like, well, you told me I can upload them, so what's the problem? And that's eventually what happened, right? So where the fuck was I? Okay. So they're getting fucking ass raped on Twitter, right? This one day, the day that it all turned around, right? They're getting hammered on Twitter. People are posting comments on their Facebook live stream of Battlefield Vagina and like posting hashtag Save Our Being the Chief. Even though I explicitly stated on Twitter, don't just put the hashtag, state what they've done. Because other people are going to see the hashtag and they'll be like, what the fuck is Our Being the Chief? What is that? Not even the employees are going to know what that is. All the employees are after my time. They're all new, fresh faces. Literally no... The one guy that helped me out in the end was the one guy on their staff that was there back when I was there. But every other employee was not there. Every other employee is a new guy. They're just like, who the fuck is John Graham? Go away. Go. Who are you? Shoo fly. They just wanted me to go away. And I think they vastly underestimated how attached people were to my series, right? So I think at that point they were like, oh shit, we probably shouldn't have ignored this dude. And then I decided to send them one last email. You guys want to hear this email? I'll read it out to you now. This is the last email that I wrote to them. Well, not technically not the last, but this is the email that got everything going finally in the right direction. Okay, so I'll share that with you. It'll give you an idea of how frustrated I was. Okay, so here's my email, okay? Do I have to repeat myself? I'd like an update of substance on the matter regarding the removal of the majority of my body of work of 5 years from Machinima's channel. Your last communication to me was on June 15th, at that point resorting to simply telling me repeatedly that the matter is pending with Machinima's legal team. I'm still waiting. You think I'm just going to go away? 5 years of work I wrote, directed, and edited. I don't care if you monetize it. I only want it seen. Having it and the content of many other ex-employees of Machinima removed from its only location for the sake of rebranding as the result of its acquisition by Warner Brothers, which wouldn't have happened were it not for the work of those ex-employees, is morally repugnant. You all know it. You've already removed my playlist from your main YouTube page, along with regularly removing comments regarding my situation from your social media pages. Why don't you guys cut the shit already and just let me upload my videos to my channel if you don't want them? I'll remove your hard-coded logo from them if you want. My uploading of my videos wouldn't affect you if you don't want them. What you're doing is unbelievable and needlessly cruel. If you ignore me, I'll just keep pushing on social media harder and harder to expose Machinima's shallowness, make an effort to reach out to the press, and consult a legal professional who specializes in gaming and IP law who's taken an interest in my case. In light of Machinima's desire to shed itself of its past corruption, does it really want to risk making a permanent enemy out of me? I didn't want it to reach this point, but I won't accept my content being buried forever because Machinima suddenly decided it doesn't align with its brand image. My content was instrumental to Machinima's success whether they like it or not. Awaiting a response. If you can't help me, forward me to someone who can already. John. So that's what I wrote to them. And I'm not going to read out the rest of the emails because they're brief. I'll summarize. So I got an email back from that woman saying, I sincerely apologize for not giving you feedback, and I delegated this situation to a member of our legal team, and she assumed that they had taken care of it. That's what she's saying anyway. She passed it off. She forwarded my initial email to someone of their legal team, and she assumed that it was taken care of at that point, but it wasn't because I never heard back from that legal person, whoever it was. You know? And so later that same day, I get an email back from a guy who's been with Machinima since 2010. So he came a little after me, but he was there with Machinima early enough that he was familiar with me and my content. And he said it was so infuriating because, well, it was like simultaneously a relief and ridiculous because he was basically like, I just want to say, yeah, go ahead and upload your videos. I'm just like, what? What? Is that easy? All these fucking weeks and months went by, and this is all it took was to just have my email forwarded to one fucking guy who's just like, yeah, okay, go ahead and do it. Like I should have a surplus of stomach ulcers from the anger that I have felt consistently for the past couple months. And now you're just telling me I can just go ahead and do it? Couldn't you have told me this months ago? What the fuck happened before when my email was supposedly forwarded to the legal team? It's just a coincidence, right? It's a coincidence that now you're playing ball with me on the same day that you're getting fucked in the ass on Twitter by everybody, right? What a coincidence. Wow. And so they're like, yeah, just go ahead and upload them. And I immediately responded to the email, and I waited because I wanted clarification. I wanted some clarification. But I wasn't getting a response. So I'm like, did this guy put me off until the end of the workday and then just go home? And so I called him. And sure enough, he's just like, oh yeah, sorry, I just emailed you and went home for the day. I'm like, awesome. Well, I'm talking to you now, so can I just get clarification that, like, I'm just in a state of disbelief. Like, I should be happy at this point, right? But I'm still fucking stone-faced because I am so pessimistic and cynical about this that I'm just like, this seems too good. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like everything's going to come crumbling down around me at any moment. And, you know, there's going to be some cigar-smoking executive at Warner Brothers who's just like, tell him he's fucked. Tell him we're incinerating all his videos. We're throwing them all into the coal furnace. I know that's not how digital media works, but you know what I mean. I thought they were just going to come back with me saying, oh, there's been a mistake. We can't let you upload the videos. Like, so I'm talking over the phone, and it sounds fine. Their only concern is with seasons. Well, they didn't specify seasons 1 and 2, but they were saying seasons 1 and 2 were heavy culprits of this. Like, what they told me was going on, right, is that there's these media conglomerates that are acting via YouTube, right, that are cracking down on these videos that have been on the internet for a long time that contain unlicensed popular music tracks, right? So these music companies, these audio conglomerates, they're looking on YouTube for videos that have been around a long time that have tracks in them that they shouldn't have. And then those companies, they're not targeting individual YouTubers on this, but they're looking for MCNs, multi-channel networks. And Machinima is one of them. They're a multi-channel network, right? And so these conglomerates are finding these MCNs with videos, with long-standing videos that have tracks that they shouldn't have. And they're saying, you've had this, they're basically sending them invoices saying, you've had this video up on your channel for X years, and basically like a clock has been running this whole time, like a meter, right? And it's like back when you first uploaded this, this music track to use this would have cost this amount. But this video has been uploaded and been on the internet for this long, so that means you owe us this amount times whatever the amount of time is, right? Whatever the rate is, right? So they're just going ahead and charging these MCNs ridiculous amounts of money, billing them for ridiculous amounts of money for these for videos that have these unlicensed tracks in them. And so that was the reason why season 1 and 2 were pulled off, because pretty much every episode in seasons 1 and 2 have tracks that shouldn't be in there. That's why I need to remaster the audio for those episodes completely. That's why what was I going to say? And you get what I mean, right? Like oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's why I'm starting with season 3 in regard to uploading my videos to my own channel. I'm starting with season 3 because it's starting from season 3 and onward where I started taking copyright law seriously. And I think my manager at Machinima at that point, when I was making season 3, they were like, okay, going forward, we need to be more careful with the audio you're using. So, like, just use tracks that you have licenses for. And I was like, that's fine. With the exception of the Halo theme, because that fell under Microsoft's game content usage rules. Not that YouTube cares, but that's another thing. So I'm on the phone with Machinima, and they're telling me the situation, and they're like, I think they were shitting themselves at first because they were like, oh shit, he probably doesn't have them backed up, and like we're supposed to give him all his videos back, like, and they're probably thinking, oh shit, what do we do? But I was saying to them, like, look, relax, guys. All I need from you is clearance. I've got all my episodes. Don't worry about getting the episodes to me. I have them. They're backed up on a hard drive. Thanks to you guys. My fans archived all my shit. And I have them all backed up. And so all I need from you is the go-ahead to upload them to my videos, and then we don't have to speak ever again. You know? And I asked them, I said, do you guys want me to remove your logo? And they were like, it doesn't really matter. You can get rid of them. You can not get rid of them. I'm like, if you don't give a shit, then they're going. See ya. You know what I mean? Like, why the fuck should I acknowledge them? Like, they've taken a figurative big dump on my head for the past 10 years with the amount of disrespect they've shown me. The pitiful way in which all my episodes were uploaded and labeled and sorted. The way they let me go in the end. It was just so fucking horribly unprofessional. Like, fuck you guys. And if you don't care about the logo, then it's going bye-bye. See ya. And that's where we are now. I've got permission to upload my videos. I'm doing it one at a time. I need to check each episode individually and make sure the audio's okay. That's another thing. A bunch of them had fucked audio. Like on Machinima's channel, the wedding episode had fucked audio for the longest time. And now I have just re-uploaded Wedding, and for the first time it has clean audio. Everyone's like, this is amazing. That's something Machinima could have done a long time ago, years ago, and they didn't. But it's happening now, so one at a time I'm uploading all my old videos. They're going to have proper labels, proper thumbnails, proper descriptions, proper end cards. They're not going to be riddled with ads and annotations. They're all going to be sorted in playlists that make sense. I'm going to make it look all clean and tidy on my YouTube channel. So they're all going to be there, easily accessible, easily identifiable, clean audio, as clean as I can get them anyway. And that's what's happening. I want to talk about one more thing before I go here. I want to talk about why Machinima's corporate rebranding, whatever the fuck it is they think is a good idea. I want to carefully explain why they are completely fucking inane with their rebranding move. So they were they were acquired by Warner Brothers, right? And they're moving forward. They've got a new CEO, and they've got this new tagline. I want to show you their tagline. So if you Google Machinima, right? They have like a a tagline / mission statement, just a 1-sentence thing. And it says, Machinima, next generation video entertainment network for the gamer lifestyle and beyond. Now, does any one of you have a fucking clue what that means? What is the gamer lifestyle? What is the gamer lifestyle? Seriously. Eating Doritos, drinking Mountain Dew, while having an unhealthy obsession with video games? Is that the gaming lifestyle? Or is the gaming lifestyle just a regular lifestyle in which you sometimes play video games? In which case, why even call it a gamer lifestyle? What the fuck does that mean? And beyond? What is that? So, I tweeted about this. I said, Machinima's new corporate move, whatever the fuck it is they're doing, is so fundamentally flawed. They've got a website redesign. Look, before I go on, right? I've shat on Machinima basically the whole stream. But I don't believe in kicking people when they're down. It's cruel. Okay? I'm not about that. But I have to point out why this is so stupid, because it is stupid. It's bafflingly stupid. They have this rebranded site and logo, but they're keeping the name Machinima because to them it has some degree of bankability. There's a recognizability factor, right? So they feel like the website and logo redesign is enough to make everyone forget about all the past controversy that the company is associated with. But they'll keep the name because there's a familiarity there, and they don't want to completely shake off their old audience because there's a lot of followers that they have, right? And so what is Machinima? Well, it's a contraction of machine cinema, right? So what does machine cinema mean? What it means is creating cinematic experiences within environments created with computer software and generated in real time. That's what Machinima is. That's what machine cinema is. And that's what the term Machinima refers to, right? So this next generation video entertainment network for the gamer lifestyle and beyond, what the fuck does that have to do with Machinima at all? Literally nothing. So what I had tweeted was that they have this bullshit vision of some far out consumerist futurism when they should be looking backwards. They should be looking at their roots, not only their roots as a company, but the roots of the art form itself, because it is an art form. I mean, I know it's kind of frowned upon by most people as just this nerdy fucking thing for kids, but it actually is an art form, just like anything else. You know, people create art with the means that are immediately around them, that are available. And people use video games because it's easy, you know? But that doesn't, just because it's easy to make, doesn't make it any less of an art form, you know? People have made great stuff under the term that is defined as Machinima, right? And it started with not only, how it started, right, was the computer software demo scene in the 1980s. You guys know about this? So, back when computers were first coming about, right? IBM, Microsoft, Apple, Macintosh, they were putting out computers for the home computers, PCs for the first time, right? And they wanted to show off the technical and the hardware capabilities of these computers, right? So what's the best way to demonstrate the capability of a computer system? Well, it's through real-time environment generation and video games. This is how video gaming started, right? Some guy made Pong in order to demonstrate the capability of the machine that was being put on the market, right? So No, not like Myst. Myst isn't real-time generated. That's pre-rendered environments. That's different. So some guy, like it's one thing to just show a video on a screen, but it's another thing to show a real-time environment, because that demonstrates that the environment is being generated by the hardware, and you can go in there with a camera and look around with an omnipotent point of view, right? You can move around and explore an environment generated in real time and explore it in real time, right? And it's the hardware that's generating it. And if you want to demonstrate the computational power of like a computer system, right, the best way to do that is to show off a video game, because a video game has a set of rules, right, that are all calculated by the hardware. So take Pong for instance, right? So people wanted to show off the capabilities of their new computer. So some guy made Pong for the computer. Simple rules, right? Just games have been around for a long time. For like, I don't know how long, but ages, literally ages, right? But video games, this was the inception of them, right? And so it started off with Pong, based off of table Pong, right? But this time it was transferred. It was made in a digital form, right? So very simple rules. You got 2 paddles, 2 players, 2 score counts, 1 ball. If the ball bounces back and forth, if the ball passes one side of the screen and doesn't collide with that paddle, then the other player scores a point. That's it. That's the game, right? And it shows off what the computer is capable of. Like, it's a real-time demonstration of the calculations that this hardware is making, right? And so it's a great way to show off a computer. And another way of showing off the capabilities of hardware is a real-time environment, right? So you had the demo scene, right? You had all these, like, you remember that old Windows screensaver with the brick maze and shit like that? I mean, that was the kind of shit, you know, that the demo scene was consisted of, right? And then beyond that, you had like games like Doom and Quake coming out, and people were making machinima with Quake and stuff like that, which is essentially the same thing I'm doing. What didn't just start with me, not even close. I was inspired by Red versus Blue. Red versus Blue was inspired by whoever, and whoever that was inspired probably by the Quake guys or whatever. It just kept going back and originated with Quake and Doom and that shit, right? And so that's what machinima is, right? So just gamers and fans of games were making movies with video games. They were real-time environments, and you could place the characters wherever you want. You could control a third-person omnipotent camera. You could put it wherever you want, and people were creating cinematic experiences, right? And people are still doing that. Whether it's fan service or you're a part of a AAA development team making cinematics for a video game, it's still essentially the same fucking thing. It's machine cinema. You are making, like, God of War for PS4, right? The cutscenes in that are essentially just machinima. Machine cinema, right? A cinematic experience created with a real-time engine with computer software assets and meshes, avatars and objects, right? So it is a distinct art form, right? But colloquially, machinima has often been used to refer to fan labor. Fans of video games like me, because I'm a fan of Halo, right? And I am actually a fan of Halo. I'm a huge fan of Halo. Maybe not the more recent games, but Halo Combat Evolved is still one of the best fucking first-person shooters ever made. It's awesome. And I will never forget how good that game is. I actually want to play through that again, Halo Combat Evolved. It's so fucking good. And it had local co-op. The whole campaign you could play with a friend. And like one guy could drive a Warthog and the other guy could ride Shoddy or in the turret. It was fucking awesome for its time. And it had a great story. and a campaign that built up to a climax that was fucking awesome. The last level of Halo Combat Evolved, the Maw, where you're trying to get off the Pillar of Autumn before it explodes, and then that pelican comes by to pick you up, but then it gets shot down. And then there's that moment of silence where you're just like, oh shit, you're fucked. But then Cortana chimes in at the last second saying, oh, there's another pelican in whatever bay. Like, just go drive there before it's too late. It's so fucking cool, man. Like a great self-contained story campaign that was really emotionally engaging. And just great care and attention to detail. And I was a fan of Halo back then, and I still am. It's the fact that that's still... I mean, I rank Halo Combat Evolved alongside GoldenEye and shooters like that are just so fucking good. The creme de la creme of first-person shooters, you know? There's not very many of those. Halo Combat Evolved is one of them. And that on top of the fact that I was a fan of Red versus Blue, I haven't watched their whole show, but I watched the first few seasons and I was a fan. And I also watched them and I'm like, fuck, I could do that. And I did. And I worked really hard at it and I'm still doing it, and I think I'm really fucking good at it. And so that's why I'm still doing it. Not only because I'm good at it, but because it's still fun for me. And I like writing for those characters, Arbiter and Master Chief. It's fun. And so I did that and had a good time doing it. And then this company, Machinima.com, comes along that decides to name itself using the same name as the art form. But then the company at some point values its own growth over its roots, where it actually originated from. And now they're going forward with this bullshit rebranding under Warner Brothers, where they're keeping the name Machinima, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the art form that it started from. I mean, literally, go onto Machinima's YouTube channel and look at their most recent uploads. They're not doing anything remotely resembling Machinima. That's the ultimate irony of this shit, as I was one of the few people on their staff that was actually making content that fit the definition of the name of their fucking company. I was one of the very few people doing it. And me, of all people, they decide to take a big shit on my head and treat me like ass. And here we are, where they just want to shrug my show off of their shoulders like it's a bad smell. You know? And it's a real slap in the face, I gotta be honest. I mean, I'll leave Machinima alone after this, but I cannot stress enough how fucking shockingly bad they have been treating me and their ex-employees. I don't think anyone is incapable of change. I hope Machinima goes uphill from here. There's certainly no other direction for them to fucking go. I mean, they've hit fucking rock bottom now. But I wish them the best going forward. I hope they get their fucking act together. But people need to know just how fucking shockingly bad they've been treating their employees. And this new direction they're taking makes absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever. And I have to state that. It makes no sense. Anyway, that's what I have to say about Machinima. They're just completely ignoring their roots. And they're taking this inane new direction where it's like next generation video entertainment network for the gamer lifestyle and beyond. Whatever the fuck that means. That's what I want to end with. So there you have it.